Okay guys, welcome to the second episode of Animation on the Web. Today we're going to take a look at CSS keyframe animations. CSS animations are different to transitions in a few ways. The main two differences, however, are pretty much that animations can loop independently and that they can change between multiple states. So CSS transitions will move between two states, and keyframe animations can move between as many as you need. If an animation needs to run when the page loads, or it's more complex than a simple A to B state change, a CSS animation might be more appropriate. CSS animations have three kind of building blocks. There's keyframes, animation properties, and the settings of the animation itself. So before we go into specific detail about any of these three, I'm just going to type out a very quick example animation so you can see what it looks like all typed up. We can start off with a div called box and give it dimensions of 100 by 100. Give it a background color of salmon. Right, first things first, the animation needs a name. Let's call it spin. The end animation is going to involve the box spinning and scaling. Animation duration, 1 second. Animation iteration count. It's basically a count of how many times it could happen, so you could do anything from 1 to 5 to infinite. We'll go for infinite here, which will just make the animation loop indefinitely. Animation direction, alternate, so every second repetition the animation will play in reverse. And then just to position this box a little nicer, we're going to go, it's going to change, margin 0 auto and margin top 150 pixels. So what do we have there now? Just have an unanimated div. That's because we've connected box to an animation, but the animation doesn't exist yet. We haven't made it. So to create the animation spin, do at keyframes spin and set our percentage time markers. See, this is a very handy way to stretch time, is that it runs off percentages. So if you have an animation duration of 1 second, you can stretch how things act within that second here. It's useful for experimenting with timing and for reusing animations as well. So for this example, we're using 0%, 50%, and 100%, kind of like a start, middle, and an end. And what we're going to be affecting about the div is, I'm going to be using CSS transforms, rotate and scale. Right, so at the beginning with 0%, we're going to have 0 degrees rotation and scale of 0.3. So it hasn't rotated yet, and it's 30% the size of the 100 by 100 dimensions. Halfway through the animation, we want 180 degrees, so half a full rotation, and 1.2 scale, so it'll be half rotated and 20% bigger than normal. At the end of the animation, we want 360 degrees rotation and a scale of 1, so it's returned back to its original size. So let's take a look at our first keyframe animation. There we go, working away. Right, now be code pen example of this down below in the description if you want to have a look at that and mess around with that, because that's what we're going to do now, is run through some of the other things you can add to these animations and how they would affect the animation we have at the moment. We're going to start off with some more animation properties and more detailed rundowns of what the ones we already have here do. But now before we do that, I'm just going to attach the animation to the hover on a containing element here so we can activate it ourselves rather than on load. So we get our div class box and wrap it in a container. And then we change dot box, we'll do a dot container hover dot box. This means when you hover on container, whatever styles get put in here will affect box. It's a really handy kind of selector but it'll only work if box is inside container. Just so you know. We'll give container a width of 800, height of 800, margin 0 auto, background color of D. As you can see, it only activates when we hover on this. I'm just going to get rid of this margin top and put padding on the container. Now there are a few other animation properties, one being delay. If we'd done the transition tutorial, that should be familiar enough with you. Just go animation delay, 1 second. You have to hover on it for a second for it to kick off. But the difference in this one, if you do animation delay, say minus 0.5, then you come in. Probably a bit fast of an animation to show you here. I'll go for 8 here and go for minus 4 here, just so we can see it a bit slower. This starts the animation 4 seconds in, which could be useful for certain things. Aside from animation delay, there's also animation play state paused. So animation play state paused. Now it's going to be play or paused. Let me show you what that does now. If I grab this, put this back on box, and then let's go animation play state play. What should happen here is the animation will be playing, and when you hover, it pauses the animation. So as you can see, CSS keyframe animations provide you with a lot more power than transitions, but also take a little bit more code to put together. There's a lot more you can do with keyframes combined with things like transforms, and then you can do like sprite sheet animations and stuff, but I'll go more into them in another video. One disadvantage of keyframe animations is that they're a little bit less flexible than transitions when it comes to playing nice with jQuery and JavaScript, but it's up to every developer to decide when each method's appropriate. Again, there's some demos below in the description for you to take a look at. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you next time.